Welcome to Hayden Behind the Canvas. This is the podcast where we take you behind and beyond the brushstrokes and into the stories behind the art. I'm Simon Burgess, and I'm joined by the incredibly talented Tracey Hayden, owner and curator of the Hayden Gallery.
Here we go again, Simon. Together, we're going to explore the artists that the gallery represents. We will explore their work further, their personal journeys of being an artist, what sparked their passions, how their work has evolved, and hoping they might share some thoughts and insights for the other aspiring artists to help in their careers.
So this week, Tracey, we're speaking to Bridget Greenwood. Tell us a bit about Bridget.
Yeah, Bridget is one of our most popular artists in the gallery, and I'm realising that she appeals mostly to our female audience. And I'm looking forward to hearing more from her.
How are you doing, Bridget?
I'm good, thank you.
What I'm hoping Trace and I are going to learn today is just a little bit about your journey, I suppose, into the art world and explore a little bit about your artistic journey. So let's sort of dive straight in, Bridget. When did it all start for you?
I was always interested in art. I did art A-level. I did do a foundation course after school, but then that went a little bit off track and never completed the degree or anything. But I ended up working in advertising, so I was always surrounded by creative people. I was always interested and did a lot of creative things in the background, but I never took up painting again after college. And then lockdown came, and that's when we were all, we're allowed to have our walk once a day. And everybody in my house was working, and I was furloughed because I was working for a small cashmere company, ladies' cashmere. And so I had nothing to do, and I wasn't allowed to use the internet because they were all on Zoom calls. So I thought, well, what do I do? So I started painting. I started doing collage. Then I bought some paints, and I was stuck in the conservatory. Awful light, but that's fine. And I just painted, and I really got into it. And then I started to look at online courses. So I did a few courses. Then in 2021, I did a 3-month creative visionary program, which Nicholas Wilton does. So it was intensive 3 months while I was working as well. And that just took me to another level. It was like doing a mini degree. I learned so much, and yeah, that was fantastic. So after that point, I thought, right, I'm going to be an artist now. I am going to dedicate. And so I took over the spare bedroom, wrecked it completely. I mean, yeah, there's paint everywhere. And I haven't stopped since. I gave up work about 18 months ago, and I now paint full time.
Wow, that's quite a change, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I mean, I honestly didn't think that this opportunity would be around at my age at 62, 63.
So when did you realise from starting, Bridget, that actually maybe you could take this further than it just being a sort of a passion project during lockdown?
I think because I was enjoying it so much, and I was determined that I was going to be the kind of artist that exhibited in galleries. I didn't want to be doing this for fun. I wanted an audience. I wanted to be good. And I think that's what every artist wants in the end. You all keep trying to get better. If you thought you were brilliant at it, you'd stop and you'd just go repeat. Whereas I think you just keep striving to be better, to learn new stuff. I mean, you're never finished. That's what's so wonderful.
I think what's been interesting for me is obviously I choose my artists by the work that I like. And I don't particularly know too much always about the artists, about their background. And for me to hear you say that you've only really just been in this for the last few years, it's quite astonishing how developed your work is and the palette that you have and the strength in you have so much confidence in your work. And to know that hasn't been on the cards for that many years is quite an achievement. It's really quite special.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I've always been interested in colour, I've been interested in interiors. So I think that's an innate ability I have in that I know. And I just think I haven't stopped. You know, I have been, I would say, at least 3 hours a day, every day.
Yeah.
Unless I've been forced out of my studio.
And I think that's what every artist does, work those many hours, if not longer, each day, because otherwise you go rusty. And if you've got a couple of weeks break, then it takes you, you know, the next few days to get back into it once you get back into your work.
Yeah.
And so you do have to, it's a constant job. It's a constant achievement working at it.
But it's not a job though, is it?
No, it's not.
It's lovely.
It's
and the
really
problem
not.
is getting everybody else in your life to realise that it is a job and I do need to spend time on it.
Yeah.
When I'm really enjoying myself. Because our culture says, oh no, work's got to be work. That's in the title, isn't it? But yeah, there's a lot of pulls from family going, oh, could you just babysit? Could you just do this? Or do you fancy lunch? And it's like, no, I just want to be in my
I have to dedicate some time to this.
Yes,
guys.
go away. So yeah, this summer was the best because my husband at the last minute announced he was going sailing for 7 weeks.
Perfect.
Because he's a big sailor. And he just left me alone for 7 weeks. It's lovely. I mean, I know I shouldn't say that, but it was so nice just to every day and go for walks and just think art all the time.
Well, it just means you don't have those interruptions. You can eat when you want to eat. And if you want to work the extra into the night, you can do that.
But you also get the luxury of thinking time, which I think is so important as an artist. You need to be able to think, where am I going? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? So you can progress. Because for me, I don't want my art to stay the same.
For those, Bridget, that haven't seen your work yet, either in the gallery or online, talk us through the medium that you use and a little bit about the work itself.
Yeah, I work with acrylics purely because I have no patience and I want it to dry really quickly. Oils take so long to dry and I haven't tried them yet and I really want to. But at the moment, I'm sticking with acrylics. And I do landscapes and I try and do landscapes. I like to think of my buyers sitting on their chair, looking at the painting and taking them off into a dream, although they're not dreamlike at all, but just being able to travel in the landscape and disappear off in a walk and enjoy the landscape the way I enjoy the landscape.
Why landscapes?
Right. Okay. So another reason why I started painting in lockdown, it was my sister was diagnosed with terminal cancer just before lockdown. And so she lived down in Surrey. I'm up in Chester. So we couldn't see each other. So going on the walks was my time to think about it and just process. So and then after she died, the landscape became a massive healing place. You know, where you do go out for walks and you start looking around you and you just look at the great views and you can just sit there and just, it's a real balm for the soul, I think, the landscape. And it has been proven that it's really good for us. So for me, I'm trying to recreate those feelings in paint. So you can sit and think, oh yeah, I'm out there when you can't be out there.
So the fact that when you can't be out there because the weather is going to be too cold or too wet, do you think in the future you might experiment with other subject matter?
Oh, I don't know.
You know, that would be another challenge to see.
Well, it would be a challenge. I think it's time. I think my problem is being reasonably successful quite quickly. I've got a lot of commitment.
You're busy.
Yeah. And so I would quite like to slow down or being able to allocate more time so I could do some still lifes. I could do some live drawing.
I think that, you know, for me as a gallery owner, to see your landscapes, but then to put in a still life or an abstract of something which is not, it's not particularly anything. But that I think would just, throw it all up in the air and be quite exciting.
I do complete abstracts. I definitely do quite a few of those. Then they don't necessarily get out there, but I have got a studio full of those. Yeah, because sometimes you just want something that is just an emotion pure.
So how do you work, Bridget? What's your your process? I mean, or your working day?
If I'm starting a new painting, and I know I'm starting a new painting, I tend to flip through my photos, maybe print some off as reference, start playing in the sketchbook with compositions and thumbnail sketches, and look through Pinterest. I look at other artists and how they've done things, and I sort of get my inspiration. And once I feel like, oh, yeah, I then straight away draw the composition on the canvas and start painting it. And it will never be that composition. That is just the start. I don't think I've ever done a painting where it's as I've drawn it. Because you do it and you go, oh, no, that just doesn't look right. And although people can say, oh, no, I love that, it's like, yeah, but it's not me. It's funny how strong your instinct is for what you want and what you like. And people say, well, how do you pick your colours? And I'm like, well, those are the ones I like. And however much I love other people's work, and I think, oh, I might try that palette, I can do a whole painting in that palette and go, no, it's not me, it's not me. Yeah, you're quite restricted in what you like.
Tracey, what was it that appealed to you about Bridget's work?
Well, it certainly is the colour palette. It's very refined. They have a calm feel to them. That's why, again, I go back to you haven't been an artist for so many years. It's like, well, you're the maturity that you have, because it's brave to choose, 3 or 4 colours and stick to that palette. And that, I feel, an artist works to for years and years and years to get to that stage, to refine and to draw it all back. You've gone so quickly from one step to the next. It really feels like you've probably just held back for so many years, thinking, oh, when you were doing your foundation course and possibly if you were going to do the degree, it's like, it feels like, well, you've learnt so much in all those years, and now it's like, it's all out there, and I've just got to get it all out of me. You're just going for it. It's just incredible. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
I know what you mean, because I do feel absolutely this need of, oh my God, I haven't got much time. That was my one regret, is that I just think, oh God, if I started this. But then again, if I started this in my 20s, it's so hard to make a successful career out of artists.
Exactly.
And you have to end up going on different.
And there comes a point when it's the right time in your life to do these things. Yeah. It was the right time for me a year ago to set the gallery up. I wouldn't have done it, 10 years ago. I was too busy, I had other things going on. And your confidence grows. And I think that's why your work looks so mature now, because you have that confidence all inside you.
Yeah.
And like 20, 30 years ago, that, your work would have looked so different probably.
Yeah, I think at age, definitely, I'm not necessarily confident about my work, but I'm confident about my taste.
Yeah.
And I'm trying constantly to get my work to match my taste.
I think also you're using your time well.
Yeah.
You say that you look constantly at other artists' work. You're doing that. And maybe those years back, you would have had so many other distractions, but now you know what you're trying to achieve through your work and how important it is to learn from other people's work, to learn about their composition and how they've made a successful painting.
Yeah.
You're doing that right now, and that's so important.
Yeah, I think at the beginning, I would look at an artist and I think, how do they do that? And I would copy their work and then think, okay. And then you take just one mark that they make and you just think, oh, that's lovely. And then you pick up another style and you go, oh, I'll try that. And each time you copy and you find an artist, you just take a little bit, just taking breadcrumbs from everyone.
Yes.
Until you found your voice of what you like.
What do you hope the people that see your work get from it?
Oh, a sense of calm, a sense of sereneness. I do want that. There will be work where you want to convey weather or other emotions, but at the moment I just want serenity and calmness, and I want them to feel that sense of sitting in a big armchair going, oh, that's lovely, when they look at it.
Fantastic. So I know you're new in your artistic career, but what kind of challenges have you faced so far? Because it's easy when things are going well in life that we think it's all good, no problems. But of course, there are always blocks, bumps along the road. How have you faced any challenges to ensure that you can keep with your passion?
I suppose the challenge is, apart from getting enough time, is your confidence. Is kind of if things aren't selling as much as they used to, or you don't think the work's as good, you just got to trust your instinct and go, no, the work's fine. Just have to keep boosting yourself up, because you're constantly going, oh, that's rubbish. Oh, no, that's awful. Oh, no, my old stuff is such better. Oh, no, this is awful. And that little voice in your head will always be there. And you've just got to allow it to be there and go, yeah, that's what's making me try harder. If I didn't have that voice, I wouldn't be. But sometimes it's quite hard. And there's a lot of paintings I've painted over because of that stupid voice. And then you look back on your phone and go, oh, that was actually quite nice. But I think, like you say, I'm reasonably new at it. And I'm sure I've got a lot of things to come that will challenge me.
Do you think scale-wise you're going to play around with your scale? Because I now have clients who, they've got large walls. So do you think you'll be tempted to go really, really big?
I have got, 90 centimetre square is the biggest I've done. And I have got 3 canvases in my garage at the moment that are, I think, 120.
Okay, that sounds good.
But my biggest block to doing something that big is I can't get it in the car.
But that's why your lovely gallery owners have their little vans.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, because I just think they do it. Where do I put it? Yeah. So, yes, I think that's next year's, is to go really big.
Yeah, your work is now, I've seen it develop just in the last year. But now at the stage you're at, it's quite blocky. It's quite,
yes,
it's quite clear, your work. And so to scale that up, it would really, really work. So it would be fun to have a large piece.
Yeah, and I do like doing large. I think the contrast between doing large and doing small is fabulous as an artist, because it's a completely different skill set to go massive. Everything's got to go massive. The amount of paint, the brushes, the marks, everything's just got to increase. And then you go back to a small one and you go, oh, that's lovely again.
And also the time. It's quite nice to spend less time on a painting if you're working on a smaller piece.
Yeah, so you do a small one much quicker and much freer. Whereas if you've been working on small all the time, they end up becoming too precious, too detailed. And you need to have the contrast, I think.
Yeah, you do. And it's good to do those challenges of 1 week working on a big piece and one week then going completely the other direction and going on a smaller piece.
Yeah.
It keeps you fresh as well.
Hopefully.
It does, it will.
So, Bridget, you're creating the work is one thing, of course, in your studio and enjoying that. But of course, once the piece is finished, you need to share it. So just talk me through what you do in terms of getting your work out there, and also in terms of, working with Tracey and the Hayden Gallery.
Well, I've got to say Instagram is the first place. Instagram is fantastic for artists because for me, I've met so many people. I've learned so much through Instagram, and that is my shop front as such to the gallery. So I wouldn't have any of my galleries if I hadn't been on Instagram. They've all contacted me through there. And that's how I met Tracey. And it's really, I imagine it's really nice to galleries because you can quietly follow without sort of shouting and just see and go, actually, yeah, there's a consistency here. Yes, I think this will work for our gallery, rather than someone just turning up, I would imagine, with a portfolio and you're kind of going, okay, I'm not sure. I think it's a great medium. So that's where I've met all my galleries, and how I pick, because at the moment I haven't actually gone out and approached any galleries yet. I'm sure it'll happen, but at the moment I've been lucky enough that they've all approached me. But the Hayden Gallery I picked because I suppose half of me wanted a new gallery because I'm new.
Yeah.
And so I like that thing that we'll evolve together.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
And and then I was so impressed when I dropped my work off the first time. Such a beautiful space. I mean, it's just fantastic. I'm right in the middle of the high street, so it's really easy, and such a nice high street.
And Tracey is so nice, I hear.
And
I've
Tracey,
heard that.
I have no idea. Yeah, Tracey. Yeah, no, it's lovely to be run by another artist, because there is an understanding. And I think because we work isolated on our own, it's nice to have a gallery where the artist understands what you're going through and can help you through things and talk to you and say, like you're saying, develop. I do want different stuff.
Yeah. But I think equally, again, I've probably left you to your own devices, whereas other artists I give way more input because you come up with the goods every single time. And it's like, I have a lovely choice to pick from.
Yeah.
Because everything that you do is so accomplished. It's an easy job for me when it comes to you as an artist because I want to take all the work.
Oh, that's really nice to hear because you've got some amazing artists.
We have, and we're developing. We're going,
but we're a needy bunch. We are a needy bunch. I know that much.
Yes,
we all need looking after, and that is because it's an isolating thing. It is because we haven't got people coming around. I think that's what I miss on having a degree or working in a studio where there's loads of other artists around you. I think that must be fantastic because you've got artists coming and go, oh, I see you developing here. Oh, how about a bit of this? And sometimes you need the confidence from somebody else to say, no, I think that's great, your new direction.
But maybe that's what you'll do in the future. Maybe you will get a studio amongst other artists.
I hope so.
There are communities out there that will, will have studio space, 10 or 20 artists all together. Some people, that's the only way they can work. Yeah, maybe as your work will grow and grow and grow and get bigger and bigger, hint, hint, you'll outgrow the studio space that you have right now and you'll...
I hope so. I mean, I have outgrown it already. I mean, I'm dreading Christmas because everybody's coming home and I'm in the spare room and the kids' bedrooms are full of paintings. I have a framing room. I have I think they're nearly finished room and they're all coming home and I'm thinking, where are they going to sleep? Literally, it's covered, which is great.
Bridget, you mentioned other artists there, but what would you share with other aspiring artists, regardless of age, about pursuing that passion of art, whether it's something ingrained in them or something they just wanted to try? You've mentioned Instagram, obviously, is an important element for you personally, but what else would you say that is important?
Well, I think it's really important to know where you want to be. And to have ambition, because if you just want to paint for fun, keep going, enjoy. But I knew very early on I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be a professional artist. I knew. So I did do lots of courses, and there is so much stuff out there that it's free. There's so many artists generous with their knowledge that you can learn so much. And, and if you can afford to do a proper course, do a proper course. But the most important thing is to turn up every day. There are open calls. Lots of galleries do open calls.
Yes.
I've done a few of those and luckily been accepted, but I don't know. I think at the moment, I'm quite happy where I'm heading and I would just want to concentrate on the galleries I've got and build those relationships. But yeah, for new artists, just turn up every day. It's like in anything in life. The more effort you put in, the more you get out.
What is it like when you see your work in a gallery? Because it's one thing seeing it in your studio, but in a gallery space, it's quite different. What's it feel like when you see that work?
Oh, it feels amazing. It's fantastic, especially when you see it in the window and you're not expecting it. It's like, oh my goodness. And also, it's set off beautifully. When you see it in other people's homes, where they've started it gives you a big thrill.
That's the exciting bit for me. Someone will come into the gallery and they'll say, yeah, I think that's going to work, but can you bring it over so I can see it in the house? And I've done that on many occasions. And with your work, it's just like, well, you know why they've chosen you as an artist, because certainly the females that the majority of my customers, they understand their colour, you understand your colour. And when you see the two things of which room they want it to go into and the colours that you've chosen in your piece of work, it's so exciting when that all comes together. So to see it off the white walls in a gallery, to then see it in situ of where people want to have it ending up, it's lovely. So good to see that.
I know, because it's quite odd as an artist to put all your heart into something and then sometimes have no clue where it's gone and sort of think, oh, I wonder who's got that.
That's interesting, because I know Tracey and I have spoken before about this, and I think we know some artists that want to see the work in the place that it's going because they feel it's important. Do you feel that sort of inkling that you would love to see where all of this work?
Oh, just to be nosy. Just completely nosy, just to see what kind of people are buying my work. I suppose it's an insight into the buyer.
I think us moving on further, we need to take more photographs of the end process of it to then go back to you as an artist to show you, well, this is why they chose it and this is where it's ended up. I think.
Yeah, because it doesn't always end up in a great place. But I would say, most of the time, it's been nice to meet the people.
Yeah.
And know where it's going.
Do you get much feedback off Instagram?
Oh, I mean, I do. I do get the odd messages saying, I bought your work from this gallery. I love it. It's really nice. I get a lot of people like that. So I kind of know who have bought my work. But
it's also quite good because people do follow you and they'll follow other artists.
Yeah.
And then they'll do their research and say, well, that gallery is holding it. And so we get lots of people saying, do you still have this such and such a piece by that artist? And so that's good. I mean, Instagram really is great.
Oh, it's fantastic.
You get your followers, but then they follow where you're exhibiting. So it all connects with all of us.
Yeah, and I know I shouldn't, but I know certain pieces I put up and I think, I'm not sure about that piece. And I know it doesn't get as many likes. And when your gut instinct said, yes, I knew that was a rubbish painting.
Yeah. So we all have to listen to our little voice inside us.
We have got to learn to listen because it's there for a reason.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, funny, isn't it?
When you look back to your younger self, Bridget, when you were doing your A-level art...
Punk and Skinner days. Completely off the rails.
What would you say to your younger self, Bridget, about the journey that you've been on with, through advertising and then rediscovering your art passion for art at the age you are now? What would you say?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd say you'll get there in the end. Don't worry. Because I always used to say, in my next life, I'm going to be an artist. And it had always been in there. And I would always say that, but I never thought I could be good enough. And it was only once I started that I realized that technically I might not be the best drawer, but I have other talents. Whereas you used to think that, no, you've got to be the best drawer. You've got to be technical. And I sort of think that can come.
Is that partly from school, do you think, that it's not just about drawing? There's so much more to art in terms of expressing yourself in different ways.
Yeah.
But, I feel like when I did A-level art myself, but from what I can remember, it was all about drawing, and there would be people in the class that were fantastic drawers, and I did more sculpture myself. That was more my kind of way. Yeah, so that voice for you was in your head all those years back.
Well, I mean, I did A-level. There was only 2 of us doing A-level art, and the girl I was doing it with is a professional artist, and her mother was a professional artist and had done a mural in the dining room. So she was like, oh, she's a goddess. So therefore, this daughter was a goddess. And so I was just ignored. It was like, oh, no, let Alison do everything. So I was considered like, oh, no. Yeah. But I just know that I absolutely loved it.
I've actually still got my A-level piece, and it's in our bedroom.
My piece is awful.
Well, this isn't very good.
But it's in your bedroom.
I got an A.
All right.
It was actually the title of it, I just explained, was Incubus.
Oh, okay.
And incubus, I believe, from what I can recall, was something like the devil inside you or something like that. So the piece itself is like a female bust, and she's pregnant, and I've got this kind of alien creature.
Oh my God.
And it's in your bedroom, Simon.
I know.
Yeah,
I
is
know.
this something that we need to discuss further?
Yeah. Okay. Time to move on.
Can I do that? Sounds like you.
Is that going to be added in the podcast?
Oh, no, I think I'll cut that bit out.
He's going to make himself look really good.
Stick to the day job.
So, talking about living or dead, a question for you, Bridget.
Oh, living or dead. I would like to be alive, please.
If you could collaborate with any artist, living or dead, who would that be, do you think?
I mean, I honestly, the word collaborate scares the heebie-jeebies out of me because I can't think of how I could collaborate. But if I'd like to sneak into somebody's studio and watch them work and then fire questions at them, I think it would be Barbara Ray at the moment.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, I love her work. I mean, her colours.
Barbara Ray is very large scale.
She's large scale, but also I love I love her mark making. I love her colours, although I know I cannot do those colours. So I wouldn't want to paint like her, but I'd like to get in her head. Definitely like to get in her head.
And last question for me. If your art could talk, what would it say about you?
Oh, about me, not about itself, about me. Stop being so lazy and get out more. No. Yeah, I think it'd just say, oh, you need to move on now. I think to me, it's still grieving. And so I think it's been 3 years and I think maybe it's time to move on. Yeah. You don't realise until you're past something how much it's affected you. And and I think that's why my paintings are so calm. Because I wouldn't say I'm a calm person necessarily.
They look very organised as well. That's how I would sum them up.
Yeah. Again, not necessarily me. So maybe it's a way of organising my emotions.
And how do you feel when you paint?
I always have calming classical music on. So that influenced me. So I try and get into that calming state. And I'm really happy. I'm not jolly happy. I'm just really calm.
Content, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if someone was to take away the colours in your palette at the moment, if they took away your greens and your browns and your creams, what would your go-to colours be?
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just using 3 primaries, just slightly different primaries.
Okay, so if you weren't allowed to do that, what would you do?
It depends. You'd still give me the same 3 primaries, and I'm sure I could still make those colours. So I'd find a way around it. I am Mrs. Rebellious, and if you try to take something away from me, I would just work my way and still do what I wanted. I probably would do more oranges, slightly more reds. I'd probably just up it a level.
Yeah.
On the colour.
Wow, that's what's to come, guys.
So muted, but yeah, be careful what you wish for.
Tracey, anything else you'd like to ask Bridget before we let her get on and back to her paintings?
No, I'm just so excited because you've come such a long way in such a short time. It's like, well, how are you gonna, you're a full force. It's like, as we grow as a gallery, I just want to see how you grow as an artist. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's exciting.
There are galleries who will say, no, this sells really well, so I'd like that on repeat. And I'm like, you won't see this work ever again. And that's why I'm really hard with picking commissions, because I look at an old piece and say, oh, I love that, I'd like that. And I'm like, no, I've moved on already. I speed through stuff.
And that's what I want. I want the development of my artists, and I want to show my, the people out there that, this is an artist that is not giving up, is not just sitting in a safe corner.
Yeah, no, I get bored very easily. I want to learn, I want to move on. That's what excites me, is new things, learning.
Brilliant. Yay!
Bridget, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you both. Bye.
Fantastic. Really enjoyed that, Tracey. Bridget, what a lovely lady. Tell me, what stood out to you in that conversation?
Oh yeah, Bridget is lovely, and I'm just so impressed by the maturity of her work. For such a fresh artist, she's just doing incredibly well. And I hope she gets the hint that I'd like to see other colours from her in the future. Definitely the largest scale work. I think she's been put off or hasn't got the confidence at the moment, but I know she's got a couple of canvases of that size hiding in her studio, so it would be good to see some bigger pieces from her in the future. Obviously, if you're not familiar with Bridget's work, then come into the gallery, take a look at what we have of her work, or check us out on our website. There's loads of work to see on the website.
Fantastic. Well, that wraps it up for this week. We really hope you've enjoyed the conversation today. Please follow us on your podcast platform of choice, and of course, come into the gallery at any time. You'll always be welcome. Join us next time on Hayden Behind the Canvas, where Tracey and I will do our best to bring artists from behind the canvas to centre stage, where creativity and conversations come alive.
See you again, guys.